Hello, I'm Timothy Linsdau. I'm a video producer, Christian, and civic-minded citizen watching what's going on our border. The polarizing migrant caravans are returning home. See something new in the paper. Central American migrants returning home. This polarizing group is finding that things aren't so great here. Not in the U.S., but on the border trying to get into the U.S. So many of them, their dreams are shattered. You know, they were convinced that if they left their homes in Central America, they'd be able to come up here, cross right over, be working. Some have said they've seen people come back from the U.S. who had jobs and worked and brought enough money back that they bought houses, they bought property, and some probably did. That had worked for some time over here and made their way. But, you know, to just yank up roots and run off without, you know, any idea where you're going to be, what you're going to do, how you're going to get it. I mean, they had no understanding at all. Somebody just convinced them. And this one of the fellows here, Daniel Rodriguez, he endured the cold, hunger, sickness, loneliness, as thousands of others, and on his way to the Tijuana border. But he's decided it's not worth it. And the thing is he found work in Tijuana. He got a job. He had cousins there to help him out, but he figured it was just too difficult, and he was missing his home, and so he decides to head back. So some are just abandoning their immediate hopes, and some think, well, maybe we'll go back and restart and try again. Of course, now they got the experience of making this trek, and so they have more hope. Some feel alone, abandoned. A lot of Mexicans were upset that they were there. This is why this group became polarizing, not just with Americans, but with Mexicans. Mexican immigration seems to be a little bit easier on letting people in and giving them the papers they need. But I think it's for a certain set of time, and then they've got to return or come up with some other avenue. There's about, this particular story is about 3 dozen going back, and something I came across is the International Organization for Migration. Have you ever heard of that before? The IMO, or sorry, the IOM, the International Organization for Migration. It's part of the UN now, but I'm not sure that it was. It was actually established in 1951 in trying to help all the refugees after World War II. I mean, there must have been millions of people wandering around after that war. Displaced, destroyed countries, just a giant mess. And that's what they were formed, what they call an intergovernmental organization. And they would provide services and advice concerning migration. Something like 100, what was it? There was a number in here. 100 and, oh boy, flipping up here. Something like 172 different countries make up this group. And also I see in here that it is supported by the U.S. Department, financed by the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration. Have you heard of that one? When you think about the shutting down the government, all these people working for these different organizations that we haven't even heard of, you know, that's I suspect part of that. One of my friends that's a customs agent, he's been out of work for almost a month. So it's affecting people I know down here. But apparently there's about 1,300 members of that first 5,000 member caravan, about 1,300 that are returning. Now this IOM group, this International Organization for Migration, is helping them to return. They provide them with what they need. They give them food. They're going back with bags stuffed with clothing that's been donated. And they're actually putting them on airplanes in Tijuana and flying them down to the very southern edge of Mexico. And then they take land transportation back to their original homes. And it's not just Honduras, it's Guatemala and other countries down there in Central America that they're going back to. And some say, well, you know, they're worried about the way things are in some of those countries. Some say their countries are just terribly corrupt, and they had big dreams of coming to the U.S. But some said, well, you know, if they can't get into the U.S., they'll try something else. Maybe Canada, maybe back to Mexico. Any place they think they could do better, which is a sad, sad story. You know, if those countries were operating properly, we wouldn't be having these issues coming across the border, now would we? Whether we could do anything to help them, I mean, we already give these foreign countries billions of dollars, and we've all heard those stories that it goes into some leader's pocket. So it's a difficult thing as it goes on. So the IOM is this organization helping. Some, you know, people have just come to the realization it's not going to work, and they're just simply going back. And but this organization, like I was saying before, they're helping them get started and get going and travel, accompanying them all the way. They're not incarcerated, and they're not held in some detention center anywhere. They're coming right out of the place they were staying in Tijuana and along the border. That was something else another one of them mentioned, that they would try another area on the border. I mean, this is one of the busiest border crossings in the world, which makes it very difficult to try to break across, but you're going to have huge lines. You know, you can spend weeks maybe trying to get checked in for processing. So it's a mess. You know, a lot of them feel anger and enraged, and finally they've had to, you know, resign themselves that it's just not going to work. They're going to have to go back, which I'm sure is difficulty. They'll face the difficulties and poverty that they left, but some say, well, they'll just try to make something out of it, make some success. Some did leave homes and jobs. You know, they weren't the greatest. They were probably living in poverty, but it was a heck of a lot better than living in a shelter and having people throw rocks and tear gas at you. So that's not, I'm sure, what they expected to happen. But they realized how difficult it was to cross the border. There's a number of them that actually talked about breaking through the fence or going through holes. And they said no more than getting through the fence, and the Border Patrol captured them and sent them right back. So it apparently they were under belief that this would be no problem to pull off, but didn't prove out to be that way. Asylum seekers trying to get through on asylum, not so easy. The asylum rules are pretty strong. That best I understand, you have to be seeking asylum from a government, and if you're not being oppressed by their government or can prove it, then I guess that's it. You got to go back. No, they face gangs and troubles like that back home. That's too bad. It's sad. But they're trying to make the most of it. I noticed one says Canada, China, or wherever. I don't know how good they do in China, but maybe just speaking out of turn to try to get somewhere. But in some, like I said, they're going to try another border. They're going to try another way, and it's a difficult situation, but it's a good article. I learned something new about the about this organization and what they do. You know, the International Organization of Migration. There you go. I think it's part of the UN now, financed by the U.S. Now, since there's 170 different countries in it, I doubt it's just by the U.S., but you might want to look that up. So anyway, now this rather polarizing group of Central American caravans, some of them are starting to return, even though there's more coming, and they're going to actually be going by each other, one coming up and one going down. So craziness goes on. I'm Timothy Linsdau. Like and comment on my video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.